All right, so with our gorgeous Mr. Sterling, we're going to warm up with a couple find its just to get him in the groove. Ready? Sterling. Nice, great name recognition. So he's an eager beaver. He says, boy, does he love his goodies. He's doing a very nice job. Sterling. Gorgeous. So very nice name recognition as well again. So we're just going to see how he's feeling. We'll work a few skills. I want to see if we can rock a little bit with some loose leash walking. Obviously, we're going to start off gear, and then I want to throw in maybe a little bit with our front behaviors, and then potentially a little bit with going into a side or a finish position. So what that is going to consist of is getting your puppy to either be, for example, on your side, working some loose leash walking, and then we're going to bring them into the front position, which is then bringing them to the front of your body for potentially down the road a sit and a check-in. And we'll dive into like the benefits of these skills as well. But then also it's just another great way to add in some extra movement and fun for the puppy while working through loose leash walking. So remember, there's a couple different ways to work with, for example, staying near the handler. So there's obviously your more pristine in the sense of like footwork and precision and execution, which would be like heel work. Typically for most people, we're rocking, for example, pet dog skills, which consists of still loose leash walking, but not necessarily the intensity or sometimes the driven aspect of a heel position. So for your beauty, as long as they're soft, they're not hauling, they're attentive, and they're moving along the environment with you, I'd say that's more loose leash walking than it is a heel position. If, for example, your babe is also having some awesome sniff parts to that walk, that's going to be really crucial for their well-being, both mental and physical. I normally recommend if your babe is doing a lot of hauling, is to help them learn how to be softer on equipment in the home or in your yard. And what I mean by that is if they do a lot of hauling, feed for any time they're near or by you or engaging with you. So the other option too is to pick an open space and meander in that bubble until the puppy moves into your space. So if let's say this was your yard or your kitchen or a space that's safe to practice in, you could also rock this on a longer training lead, so like a 15 to 30 footer. I typically like 15 to 20 feet for me is plenty. That way my dogs are still able to go explore and sniff and stuff like that, but then I still have a good moment to have them check back in and they're not too far. So the benefit of, let's say, for example, capturing these moments when Mr. S is near me is I'm building up value and being by the handler and by either the left or the right side. Remember too, I don't really care which side you guys prefer. I sometimes like in the sense, not that I don't care. I mean, what I mean by that is I don't mind if you prefer to work them on the left or the right. So, but it is important to sometimes get your puppies comfortable with both sides. That way, if there is something gross on the roadway or something you're trying to avoid, or there's traffic and you'd rather have them be on the inner part of the roadway versus on the outside, that's where getting your puppy comfortable with either the left and the right to be helpful. So with this orientation back to you, you could be rocking some find its in your home or let the puppy get a little distracted in the environment. And those moments where he comes and hones in on you, capture these moments and feed for being near you and your body. So right here, we just would be meandering. I'm feeding all these great moments when he's intimate and sort of checking in. And then from here, let's say he's doing a really stellar job. I might go from this and then feed him away. So he has the chance to move away and then I can recapture the moment he comes back into my side position. Yes, good job. So again, this can just start to really get a puppy that starts to hone in on you. Oh, you could also drop and kick a snack, but maybe he'll find it later. But the benefit of this game or this practice is to get your puppy to start including being, let's say, off in the distance and a little distracted, and then coming back into your space for this lovely little focus on you. Nice job. Ready? So you would eventually call maybe being by your leg a certain cue. So I normally would say with me. Some folks will say let's go, or they might even call it heel. I normally would recommend, like for me, I normally just call it loose leash walking and then I call it with me. So it's up to you guys. Obviously, nice job. If you're finding that you'd like to go do like rally or competitive obedience or, you know, even agility, it can be nice to get your puppy a little bit more fluid with some of these different positions. So that way they can be more comfortable and ready for some of those adventures. So let's say my puppy is doing a really nice job working by the side of my leg, be it left or right, excuse me, and you're practicing sort of being near each other and feeding for all these good moments next to your side. You could then, let's say, for example, your puppy could do a front position from already being next to you and you lure them into the front of your body. In the beginning, it's perfectly fine. I don't even worry about it, is to do this while they're still in a standing position. You do not have to always have your front, ready? Turning into a sit, but it can be nice at times to hone them in on you, and then you could have them check in, and then they might be able to ignore more easily something off in the distance. So if they're a little bit drunk in the sense that they're like a little bit sort of one-sided or to the other side or not as, you know, square, remember that when you're first learning any dance moves, they're probably not the most pristine, beautiful things you've ever done, especially if dancing doesn't come necessarily natural to you. So I once took a belly dancing class, and let's just say it was entertaining because even though I enjoyed it, my lefts and rights have always been challenging for me. So my dance moves were not always on par with everybody else's. So I would highly recommend for him is when you're starting to work on anything, is feed for even the glimmers of those behaviors. So if let's say, yeah, we wanted loose leash walking on the left, but right now my puppy is working a very nice job on the right, I would still capture this feeling of him being near you and sort of focusing as being a good thing. Otherwise, if we're just looking for the full perfect behavior, you may miss out on all the little windows where he was giving you something, but because none of that mattered, he's like, what's the point of working harder if even my smallest attempts give me nothing? So always think start easy and attainable and build up to making it more pristine or more refined. So let's say fronts are not as comfortable for him, or let's say you've never done them. I would normally like to start my puppy in front of me and get them just comfortable moving into my space for the front. And there's a couple different ways you can rock this and then build up. But let's say, for example, he's already in front of me. I'm going to have a few snacks ready and I'm going to bring him into my space by luring him and just kind of bring him in and feed for these little moments where he comes into my space into the front. So I'm going to get his attention. I'd go front and I feed. And again, front and then feed. And then again, front and feed. So you can see Mr. S is having the greatest day of his life. He's a hungry hippo. Nice job, sir. So I'm feeding Mr. S for any time he gets in front of me while on cue. So this will be, again, we could be walking. Oh gosh, there's the squirrel. I could go front and then bring my puppy into the front of my body, keep him engaged with me. Maybe the squirrel goes running by. He didn't even notice because he's busy working these other skills. And then let's say from here, though, I want to keep walking and the puppy's in front of me. You could lure your puppy back into your side or finish position, which is again back by your legs. You can kind of keep on walking again. So ready? So we'll go ahead and we'll go forward. So in the beginning, I do use my hand to, oh my goodness, chewing and walking. Hold up. It's so hard when we get too excited about snacks and we can't walk and chew. You got it? Did it come out? Oh my goodness. Whew. Goodness me. Okay, let it out. Don't want to throw another snack while you're still hawking up the first one. You good? Maybe we'll do a little find it, give him a little breather. So you have to go meander and search for it. So let's say, for example, your puppy is doing a really nice job honing in on your hand. Eventually that would get faded out and you wouldn't have, for example, your food in that hand either. But in the beginning, I like to use this as a visual for my puppy to hone in on my side so he can be a little bit more looking in this direction and checking in. Remember though, for loose leash walking, I don't care if the puppy is looking at you or not. The engagement can be helpful if there's going to be distractions, you're looking for that connection. But throughout your walk, it should also consist of going and exploring, sniffing, checking out the environment. And then maybe throughout that, do little check-ins and then send him back out to do doggy things. Because that's going to create a much more soft puppy, where what I mean by that too is if your pup gets the chance to do the things that make him feel content and satisfied, and sort of his goals have been met for his needs, then that means that he'll be a more comfortable and softer puppy in our human, again, centric world, which is most likely in the house. So again, Sterling, come. Nice, so great little recall. So I'm gonna feed just like, again, a couple little morsels for doing that great recall. So we're gonna go back into some loose leash walking. I'm just gonna get a couple little tidbits ready for the handsome guy. So I'm gonna have him hone in my hand for now. I'm gonna feed him for that. Oh my goodness, they rolled away. These teeny kibbles are great, but sometimes they're very slippery when he gets them all mushy. Ready? So let's say we're gonna do a little bit with the front. You could lure him. He's like, did you throw it? Into the front of your body. Yes, feed for that. But let's say you want to get him back on the side, but maybe you want him on the right versus the left. You can have different slogans for different positions. So some people would call going back into the left side as the heel, like going back into heel position. Others might call it finish or side for the other side. You can get as fancy as you'd like. For my guy, I tend to just say, again, like my loose leash walking would be with me. And then if I want him to be in front, it means come to the front of my body. And then from here, I might feed for the front behavior. But then to go back to my side, I call it finish. So it's, again, whatever makes sense. So you could go again, lure the puppy, and then set them up next to your leg. So you could then continue on your merry way with your walk once more. You ready? So, but don't forget to feed for also being by the leg. So a lot of times people will then feed for like when the puppy is next to them, but they go into a sit, or the puppy's next to them and they're maybe giving eye contact, but they're not really feeding for the loose leash walking. So make sure that you're breaking down all the different skills into little increments. So if, let's say, you were looking for a gorgeous loose leash walking moment, you want to feed while they're also practicing that aspect, not for when they're sitting or stopping or looking at you. So right here, we'd be nicely walking, and I'm going to feed him for just being by my leg and walking nearby. And if he prefers one side versus the other, we can go ahead and switch. Nice, it's looking really pretty. So we might go from here and I might go front. Ready, Sterling? He says, hopeful that I maybe was going to throw that snack. Yes. So then from here, we might lure him back into the side or finish. So, and later this will become a little bit fancier. Right now, it's more just like he was in front of me and now he's back to my leg, so that was a win. Eventually, it could turn into a little bit of a prettier dance move. So again, front. Yes. And then from here, we go back into our side position. So if your puppy was bigger than Mr. S and you're having a hard time turning them around to face the side of you again, you could lure and take a step back and then reset them up where they're more square with your body. But again, this can be all up to kind of you and sort of how your pup is doing. Oh my goodness, did it fall out? He's like, I don't know if I want that one. Did that one fall out? It wasn't as cool. He's like, meh, kibble. Good job. So again, we're going to keep moving again. Ready? Oh, Mr. B says, I'd like to come back out and wrestle. I know, but no wrestling for Mr. B today. Well, Mr. Bernie, yes, but Mr. Bodie, no. Bodie may have pulled a little leg muscle, so he's taken a little bit more of a rest period between the boys. No wrestle time. Nice. But he says, worst day ever. No WrestleMania. Ready? Find it. Gorgeous. And then from here, again, Sterling, come. Yes, what a good job. Smart boy. Oh my goodness, we dropped it again. Ready? Find it. So, but whenever practicing anything with Mr. S, I would recommend see if you can feed for even the beginning stages of something. So you're building up that behavior or that skill set. So that way it seems easy and attainable. If you're finding that he is, again, not really doing so hot, I would also gauge what is my environment like and have we rehearse these skills in a softer venue first before even going into the harder bubble. But we'll do a little bit more. Ready? Oh, such a smart man. So gorgeous job with his loose leash walking. Ready? Yes. Nice. Oh my goodness, you lost it again. Nice work. Ready? We'll do a little find it. So, but for the beautiful men, I know today is their last week for this round. If the babes are taking a breather from the day school, perfectly fine. If you're thinking about continuing, but maybe rocking mostly the structured play, whatever seems comfortable. For other classes, I know I've discussed a bit with the confidence building class. I do have a round starting today. Yes, today is Thursday, with Sam at 6. That one still has a few spaces. If you're interested, let me know. Otherwise, I know there's another round starting in another couple weeks, but that one's going to be at 7. So that way we kind of have them staggered so people can, again, register for either one when it's, conducive to their schedule. But we'll give Mr. S a little breather from some of these skills. Now we'll work a few other skills with him and see maybe how some more of those leave it practice might be coming along too for this handsome boy. Ready? So we'll do one more recall. Sterling, come. Yes, nice job, sir. So really, really good job. We'll do a little find it, give him a little break, and then we'll rock a few more skills with Mr. S.